Breaking news, the saddest news that I'm reporting on this channel since its inception.
Britain's Sir Lewis Hamilton has been disqualified from the 2025 Chinese Grand Prix.
And I don't know why I can't stop bloody crying.
Where do I start? Well, like many of you, I set the alarm for 6:55 this morning, got up, watched the Chinese Grand Prix, and then being a YouTuber, I had to then dedicate my time to making sure I'm the content creator that scrambles to be the first to get the content out there to talk about the talking points of the race, because obviously that gets you the most amount of views. So I went back to bed and had a bit of a sleep, and when I woke up, we got the news that Hamilton was disqualified. Worst day of my life. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going on here. There was a lot of things that went on in that race. Lots of crashes, lots of safety car incidents. It was a fast-moving, highly complex technical sport, and yeah, it was. Let's not worry our little heads about that at the moment, but there is lots of talking points that I'll get to as we go through a sequence of videos, because I'm not going to cram it all into this one. Documents from the FIA relating to that race. So this is their official documents. This is the final race classification, championship points, blah, blah, blah. Who infringed in that race? So, infringement car 10, technical non-compliance due to the weight of their car. Infringement car 16, that's Leclerc's Ferrari, technical non-compliance, weight of the car. Infringement race deleted lap times. And that's all it is in terms of race deletion of lap times, not a penalty for exceeding track limits too many times there. Infringement car 44, technical non-compliance, plank assembly. And then we've got some recalled documents there. Technical regulation, summons, practice start, forcing another driver off the track. So, they're essentially the things that have impacted drivers' race. So there's two cars that have finished that race underweight, which is one of the Ferraris and who's car 10. I'm not even up to date with whose numbers who this year. I really am not. Let's have a look. Pierre Gasly is disqualified. It's below the minimum weight. How heavy was Gasly? He was 799 kilograms. Not such a tyre whisperer is Pierre. Not like George was at the 2024 Belgian Grand Prix. Tyre whispering there all his way through that race. Anyway, Lewis Hamilton been disqualified for having a plank thickness that was below the permitted thickness. And if that's the case, if his car does not comply with the requirements of what is required to be a Formula One car, he should rightfully be disqualified. So, what went on here? The stewards heard from team representatives. The plank assembly of car 44 was measured and found to be 8.6 millimeters on the left-hand side and 8.6 millimeters centerline and 8.5 millimeters on the right-hand side. This is below the minimum thickness of 9 millimeters specified under Article 3.5.9 of the technical regulations. During the hearing, the team representative confirmed that the measurement is correct and that all required procedures were performed correctly. The team also acknowledged there were no mitigating circumstances and that it was a genuine error by the team. The stewards determined that Article 3.5.9 of the FIA Formula One technical regulations has been breached and therefore the standard penalty of disqualification needs to be applied for such an infringement. Okay, and it's good that they are applying the standard penalty for such an infringement there, because it's important that there's a uniform standard of consequence when you infringe, because not that one. Jack Doohan received the uniform standard of penalty for when he infringed. Because what Jack Doohan did, he just like similar to that incident at the 2024 COTA Circuits of America Grand Prix, where Jack, I think it was Jack and Jill were involved there. The stewards reviewed the positioning, marshalling data, system data, video timing, and in-car video evidence. Determined as follows: car 7 was overtaken by car 6 in the run up to turn 14. I'm sure you'll remember. I'm just taking you through that Circuits of America document now. I'm sure you remember it. Car was overtaken by the other car on the run up to turn 14, and in trying to take the position back on the inside, Jack lost control, locked up, and forced Hadjar off the track. Accordingly, we imposed a 10-second time penalty with 2 penalty points, which is in keeping with the guidelines for forcing a driver off the track. You know, standard. Karoon would tell us that nowhere does it state in those regulations that the car on the inside has to remain on track. So it's a little bit confusing in that regard. But again, it's important that we have a uniformity with these regulations so that everybody knows what's going on here. Now, what I find a little bit concerning is that 20 competitors in that race, one competitor abuses his car in such a manner that he causes so much wear to those skid blocks that that car then becomes illegal. Because as we know, Lewis Hamilton is renowned for just chucking that car around, making it bottom out all the time, and scrub those wear blocks to pieces. Because, you know, that's the way he drives. He drives it like he's stolen it, doesn't he? And therefore, you know, you can tell that by how much he scrubs his tyres all the time. And, you know, I think what would have probably harmed it for Hamilton was the fact that he lost the end plate on that front wing, affecting the aerodynamics of that car, meant it would have unsettled that car, causing probably more wear on that block underneath his car, wouldn't it? Hamilton was the only car in that race that suffered that wear, was he? Driving the way he does. What are the test results of every other car? Don't know. Ultimately, I'm not saying that the car's not illegal. If the car's illegal, then fine. It needs to be disqualified. But it surprises me that his was the only car that was illegal. It surprises me that the other Ferrari car wasn't deemed to be illegal due to the same reason. Bizarre, isn't it? Bizarre. But I like to be consistent. You see, I used to follow this page on Facebook, and it used to be called Change Formula One 2021. Lewis Hamilton is the true and valid champion. And then they changed their name to be more like me. But back in July 2022, the 14th of July 2022, they produced this article here. Just a word of warning: when you see this bit that says "see more," don't press it, because there's a lot more to see. So, but for those of you that might want to see more, here's the truth about Red Bull and Ferrari's illegal flaws from July the 14th, 2022. Red Bull and Ferrari have purposefully designed their plank section floor to flex. As many will now be aware, the permitted amount of flex is no more than 2 millimeters. We're talking about 2 millimeters on the rear wing, was we, earlier this week? That was a 2p piece, tells Craig Slater. Now it can only be a credit card, a clever card. Anyway, and it's been reported by numerous sources that these two teams have planks/floors which flex around 6 millimeters. So, Sir Lewis Hamilton's infringement was that his slider plate, his what do they call it? That thing that is worn down by 0.4 of a millimetre and caused his disqualification. 0.4 of a millimetre and it's caused his car to be disqualified in China. Okay, there's flex at around 6 millimetres, 4 millimetres, 10 times that amount, yeah? 10 times what Hamilton's car has infringed by. There's flex by around 6 millimetres, along with skid blocks that can be pushed up into recesses within the plank / floor. So them skid blocks, they don't wear because what they do, they spring into the plank, okay, minimising the amount that wears off of them. Back in 2022. This has been presented to fans as being a grey area or a loophole, or as Sky Sports F1 lamely put it, some teams could be considered to have deliberately tried to circumvent the intention of the rules. Let's be clear, it's cheating. This person doesn't mince their words, do they? A Formula One car is not allowed to have parts which flex beyond certain limits. The intention is that the bodywork is rigid, bar the DRS flap, but in the real world, lightweight materials do move slightly when subjected to forces involved with high speeds. Hence, a 2 mm limit for flexion on that specific part is deemed permissible. If parts of the car's bodywork flex / bend / change their shape / form as the speed increases, effectively the car changes shape as speed increases. So I didn't type that very well, did they? As we saw last year with the Red Bull Flexi Wing, which flexed backwards as the car got faster, but that was Adrian Newey's genius back in 2021. Causing a reduction in drag and hence increased performance. But as usual, as it was Red Bull, the FIA took no action to penalise them. Any flexion changes the aerodynamic characteristics of the vehicle, and this is forbidden in the sports regulations. Likewise, any device or construction that is designed to bridge the gap between the sprung part of the car and the ground is prohibited under all circumstances. Okay, that means like having a mechanical damping device. So this means attempting to use the plank or skid blocks under the car as a mechanical damper to control the vertical oscillation of the car by it being designed to contact the track and damp the bouncing. That's prohibited. Back when in 2022 those cars were all bouncing down the track, yeah. But it was Newey's genius. It was Newey's understanding of the underbody aerodynamic principles that made the Red Bull car so good, wasn't it? Genius. Anyway, the specific rules that Red Bull and Ferrari have broken are detailed at the end of this article. As I previously evidenced in other articles, Sky Sports have presented things rather differently. The Sky Sports analysis presented by Ted Kravitz and Johnny Herbert is utter smokescreen as they focus on skid blocks at the front of the plank and talk about rake angle, and then they cut to our friend Christian Horner. They use Sainz and Russell's car as examples, but strangely no Red Bull cars are pictured. As usual, our friend Christian Horner is given the opportunity to lie to the world. As usual, he tries to deflect attention from any possible wrongdoing by Red Bull by pointing the sneering finger at other teams by suggesting that the issue is other teams not getting on top of their porpoising problem and that the FIA shouldn't be dictating how teams set up their cars due to other teams' problems. All diversion to take the subject away from the fact that the only reason Red Bull seem to have managed to produce a car which doesn't suffer from porpoising is because they've done it illegally. They've cheated. Further description about how the cheating has actually caused the performance gains is presented at the bottom of the article, but make no mistake, the two teams have cheated and it has resulted in significant performance advantages. So how does sport deal with cheating? Let's compare this with cycling. If in this year's Tour de France, which consists of 21 stages, after stage 9, if 4 competitors were discovered to have a device on their bikes, such as a small crankcase assistance motor, that would give them performance gains, what are the chances of the UCI saying, that's okay, you've cheated, but you can keep all of the results that your cheating has enabled you to achieve, and we'll let you continue cheating for the next 4 stages, but after that, none of the competitors will be allowed to have a crank motor on their bike? No. They would be thrown out of the competition in disgrace, their teams either expelled or fined heavily, and their results expunged. Nobody would be saying, well, the cyclists didn't do anything wrong. It's not their fault. They shouldn't suffer. They accomplished their achievements due to illegal equipment, so you don't get to keep those results. Let's compare this with Diamond League athletics. Ladies, 200-meter sprint. If halfway through that season, several of the competitors were discovered to have a penis and 2 testicles hanging from their undercarriages, would World Athletics, formerly the IAAF, say, it's okay, it didn't say in our rules and regulations that we were actually going to measure this bit, so you can keep all of the results that you have attained so far this season, continue competing for the next 4 meetings, but after that, no competitors in this event will be allowed to have penises. But if you've already accumulated enough points by then, you can still win the overall title. No. These men would be thrown out of the competition because they aren't women. They do not fulfill the criteria of what needs to be adhered to in order to be permitted to compete in this category of competition. If the car doesn't fulfill the criteria of what it is to be a Formula 1 car, it isn't a Formula 1 car. Hence, it can't be allowed to either compete in or win a Formula 1 event. Let's compare this with the Olympic Games. The greatest athlete I've ever witnessed, Mr. Usain Bolt, won the triple. Gold medals in the 100 metres, 200 metres and 4x100 metre relay at the 2008, 2012 and 2016 Olympic Games. It was discovered when samples were retested prior to the 2016 Rio Olympics that his teammate from the 2018 Beijing Olympics 4x100 metre relay squad, Nesta Carter, had traces of banned substance in his sample. So, after the appeal by Carter was dismissed in 2018, Jamaica were disqualified from the 2008 4x100 metre relay, and Bolt lost his medal from that event 10 years later. That's how the Olympics deals with cheating. Clear rules, clear consequences. The Olympic Committee don't say, we don't want our poster boy to lose a medal, and it was only 4 millimetres of drugs, so it wasn't that much cheating anyway, so let's let Bolt keep his medal. No, rules are rules. Cheating is cheating. It gets punished. Let's consider greyhound racing. If one of the dogs was winning every race that it was entered into, but then halfway through the season, it was discovered that it wasn't actually a dog, it was a cheetah, would the sports governing body say, we know that it's a cheetah, and that's why it can go faster than everything in the competition it's in competition with, but we'll let you keep all of the trophies it has won, even though it's not a dog, and the trophies are for winning dog races, and we'll let it race for the next 4 events, even though we know it has an illegal and significant performance advantage. But after that, you, the dog owner, will have to enter a dog. What would the bookmakers do? What would the punters do? Who would be liable for the fact that people have been cheated out of money betting on a dog race when the organisers had allowed an illegal entrant, which had then totally invalidated the competition? So that's a question for another article. So this is what the FIA do. The FIA, you have created a car that changes shape as the speed increases, whether that be due to aerodynamic loading or using what should be a rigid part of the car as a flexible component to damp the bounce to better manage porpoising and or ground strike impacts which would otherwise cause bouncing. You have gained a significant performance advantage in doing so. This is illegal, it is cheating, This isn't permitted under Formula One rules and regulations, hence it isn't a Formula One car. Is that binary enough for you, Christian? That's okay. You can keep all of your wins that you have achieved this season, where your illegal vehicle has been able to be faster than Formula One cars, cars which do not fulfill the criteria of complying with the regulations in order to be considered to be a legal Formula One car. You can carry on competing for the next 4 races with those illegal vehicles, which clearly have a performance advantage, so are well placed to build upon those successes. All of the other teams who have been struggling all season to deal with the challenges presented by the new regulations and as such have been struggling with performance, it's fine that they've been beaten by cars which haven't been complying with the rules, cars which have an illegal advantage. Teams that have spent millions in trying to overcome issues and which have been ridiculed for not being able to compete with the illegal cars, that's fine. Unlucky, the illegal car can keep all of the points that they've accumulated. In fact, they can carry on accumulating them for another 4 races, whilst we give them time to make sure they can develop their car to still be competitive, even when their illegal design is no longer deemed acceptable. The genius of Adrian Newey. The FIA were aware of the cheating prior to the British Grand Prix on the 3rd of the 7th, 2022. They have now set the deadline of the Belgian Grand Prix on the 28th of the 8th, 2022 for those 2 teams to stop using their illegal cars. No immediate sanctions, no immediate outlawing of the illegal components and their illegal designs. Carry on using them, carry on extending your championship lead. They want those teams to win. No penalties, no disqualification for using illegal parts, but 8 weeks with which to effect a change and develop the car during that time to become competitive again, but still use their illegally advantaged machines at the 4 events in between Britain, Austria, France and Hungary. Now, rewind to the start of the season. 5 events took place in the first 8 weeks. 6 more events took place in the next block of 8 weeks. During this time, the rest of the grid were all bouncing around trying to come up with solutions for the porpoising problems. Red Bull and Ferrari cheated, so were able to win all of those events between them. Red Bull and Ferrari will have seen how the other teams have found legal solutions to the issues. Red Bull and Ferrari will have been given a further 2 events in which to cheat, then a 4-week window to produce a legal car, which, due to the knowledge gained from watching what the other teams have done over the course of the 13 events that will have taken place, they are highly likely to find workable solutions extremely quickly and won't have to endure all of the experimental process that all of the other teams will have both had to endure and had their race chances impacted by. This is fine. We are the FIA. We make the rules. We decide if we want to tell the truth as to whether or not the rules have been broken. We decide whether or not we want to punish our favourite team, Ferrari, or our benefactor, Red Bull. Now, there will be people who will be calling me a hypocrite, all happy that Hamilton has gone to Ferrari. Let's be clear here. Ferrari is the golden team, or historically has been the golden team of Formula One. They get paid more money in prize money than all of the other teams. They got a special deal with the FIA. Ferrari have, due to the economic impact that Ferrari has to the show. So, Ferrari have historically been a team that has been able to get away with certain things that perhaps other teams have not. Okay, Hamilton's moved there, and now Ferrari cannot. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Certainly doesn't appear to be so from the evidence that we've now seen second race in. Anyway, we've decided that everything is fine. This is the FIA. Move on. We learned from this we learned from our 3-month review into Abu Dhabi that we told you we did, which took all of the time in the close season in the hope you would forget about us fixing 2021. We are the FIA. We can and do what the flock we want, or what Christian asks us to do, because we don't want those pictures getting out which were taken at the party on the Red Bull yacht in Monaco the other year, allegedly, who knows what the level of leverage is in the FIA and what Red Bull have over them to have got the decisions that they've got. Anyway, wake up, people. Formula One is the most corrupt sport in the world. The FIA, the sports governing body, is corrupt. You aren't watching sport, you are seeing a contrived show that they want Red Bull to win and will do everything that is required to do so. McLaren are playing the clever cards. McLaren must have won the game to be allowed to win this year. Who knows? Who knows? Sky Sports F1 is the validating face of the entire enterprise. Look out for, no, don't bother looking out for that. It's back in 2022. That's history already. That will no longer apply, will it? Anyway, this is for those who are interested, further insight into how the teams are cheating and how it is giving them huge performance advantages. There are at least two possible reasons why both Red Bull and Ferrari have cheated in this manner, and actually both may be relevant to varying degrees. 1. By manufacturing the floor / plank / skids to flex, deform on impact with the ground, makes it act as a mechanical damper. Imagine a snowboard flexing as the tail of the board hits the ground when landing a jump, making it easier for the snowboarder to absorb the landing, helping to damp and control any vertical oscillation, porpoising and bouncing, and helping to protect the driver from the car impacting with the track as the impacts are cushioned somewhat and the porpoising is reduced. This in turn leads to the car's aerodynamic performance being far more consistent, stable and manageable. The more stable the car is, the more even / consistent the levels of downforce and hence grip. Hence the car's handling will be far more consistent and predictable, so the driver can feel the limits of the car much easier and is better positioned to extract performance from it. And as the driver is thrown around far less, another reason why a driver can drive the machine quicker. All factors equal much better performance. Number 2, if the flexing of the plank / floor is possible under aerodynamic load, it can result in the pathway for airflow changing as the speeds and forces change. As many understand the principle that when the floor of the car gets extremely close to or touches the ground, the suction effect is lost, hence the car jumps up on its suspension, but in doing so downforce is regained, so the body is sucked back down again, which happens repeatedly. If the floor is able to flex upwards, then it can be set up in a way to manage the manner in which this occurs by still enabling airflow at the point where airflow becomes jammed on other cars. Set up properly, this could possibly even eradicate porpoising altogether. There are numerous possible explanations. As with aerodynamics, there are numerous factors which can combine or conflict, and numerous of the mechanical factors involved. But ultimately, having a surface of the car that flexes is illegal. I've no idea whatsoever why the author of this article may have such knowledge. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let me know what you think the author of this article may or may not know about this show of Formula One. Anyway, let's be clear. These two teams designed their cars with this flexible floor component for a single reason: performance gains. Read the rules below. It could not be any clearer that these teams are cheating, taken from the FIA's own 2022 F1 rules and regulations. 3.1.2 Frame of reference: the geometry, component or group of components with respect to which certain bodywork must remain immobile. Certain bodywork must remain immobile. The geometry, component or group of components with respect to which certain bodywork must remain immobile. Right. Aerodynamic influence. With the exception of the driver adjustable bodywork described in Article 3.10.10, in addition to minimal parts solely associated with its actuation, so this is the DRS flapper mechanism, and the flexible seals specifically permitted by Article 3.13 and 3.14.4, all aerodynamic components or bodywork influencing the car's aerodynamic performance must be rigidly secured and immobile with respect to their frame of reference defined in Article 3.3. Furthermore, these components must produce a uniform, solid, hard, continuous, impervious surface under all circumstances. Any device or construction that is designed to bridge the gap between the sprung part of the car and the ground is prohibited under all circumstances, with the exceptions of the parts necessary for the adjustment described in Article 3.10.10 DRS system, or any incidental movement due to the steering system, any car system, device or procedure which uses driver movement as a means of altering the aerodynamic characteristics of the car is prohibited. The aerodynamic influence of any component of the car not considered to be bodywork must be incidental to its main function. Any design which aims to, but not all designs, which aims to maximize such an aerodynamic influence is prohibited. Quite clear, isn't it? It's quite clear. You're not allowed to design components, design them to flex. You're not allowed to design components which are designed to push themselves up into the recess when they contact the ground to prevent them wearing down or to minimize them wearing down. That's reported what they did. And they didn't receive a punishment. Spread this far and wide, every fan of every team and every driver that has been impacted by two teams cheating needs to realise just how corrupt the FIA truly are. This isn't sport. There is no loophole. They want to convince everyone that there is, but there isn't. The rules and regulations state that a car's body must be effectively rigid, other than the DRS flap, which can move along with the mechanism to enable that. So designing a part of the car to flex/move either under aerodynamic load or impact loading is illegal. It's as simple as that. Incidentally, I am fun at parties. I think somebody had suggested that I might not be, but the author there, whoever they are, suggests that they might be. So it's a new thing in Formula One, this strange concept of cheating and the FIA clamping down on cheating and imposing a penalty for cheating. I'm glad, to be honest with you. I'm absolutely over the moon that the FIA have finally decided to clamp down on cheats in this sport and take the right action. Because if you are in breach of an article in those Formula One technical regulations, the decision would have to be that you are disqualified from the race classification and all of the other drivers move up in the classification. Any form of cheating should be disqualified in that manner, shouldn't you? So if you've breached the cost cap of 2021, you should be disqualified from 2021. If the knock-on effect of breaching that cost cap in 2021 gives you a performance advantage for 2022, you should be disqualified from 2022. If you have breached the regulations in 2022 due to creating aspects of your car which breach the technical regulations, you should be disqualified from 2022. If you produced a car in 2023 which is building on those designs of 2022, you should be disqualified for building on a car that was already illegal, building of those illegally gotten gains. So 2023 is disqualified. 2024, if it's discovered that you have a device in your braking circuit which gives you asymmetric braking across the axle, then that is a cheat device, and as such, you should be disqualified from that competition. Oh, looks like we haven't got a four-time world champion, doesn't it? Looks like we haven't got a four-time world champion. But, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing we can do because just like Usain Bolt, you know, he gets to keep all of his 9 Olympic gold medals. We don't want to strip him of that, do we, 10 years later? We don't want to strip him of one of them 10 years later. There's no precedent for doing anything like that, is there? Nowhere in world sport would they retrospectively strip somebody's illegally gotten titles from them, would they? let me know what you think in the comments section. There's a lot more to come. Okay, there's a lot of things that either were said in commentary, or actually I'm gonna go through the Dewan incident, crowding off the track of Hadjar. I'm going to go through some of the commentary and some of the other talking points from the Chinese Grand Prix in future videos. Well done to Oscar Piastri, leading the race from start to finish, in similar to last week's Australian Grand Prix, where we saw Lando Norris essentially do the same in what was one of the greatest ever drives in Formula One history. Oscar performed the same thing this week in essentially again leading the race from start to finish, becoming once again one of the greatest drives in Formula One history. So congratulations to Oscar. Congratulations to Lando with the dramatic brake failure that was that last lap. It's gonna go down right to the wire, this one. That was really exciting for everybody on the last lap. Congratulations to the tyre whisperer George, bringing it home in third. Congratulations to Max Verstappen with a deserved fourth. Congratulations to those teams that then got their drivers promoted because of those bastard cheats that should be disqualified from the sport. Thank you for your time.